So, who I am? My name is Sebastiano Galazzo, and I came from Italy. I'm a Microsoft MVP for AI category, maybe for C++, who knows, but not now. I deal with artificial intelligence since 20 years so far, but I'm much more focused on natural language processing, but also with a strong passion with computer vision and, of course, photography. Perfect. So, how everything started? As because I am fond of photography, I always, and machine learning and AI, the algorithms of the web together realized that would be a good idea if I had a look to this project. And I realized that this guy who did this device and this application is a genius. Great, he has my respect. Because creating this device, he was able to fundraise on Kickstarter that amount, 2 million euros, and he says 15 million euros or dollars, I don't know, but could be dollars, but doesn't matter so far. It's speechless, really. But basically, what it does? No. I will show you some pieces of the video. So the audio doesn't matter. So basically, the idea is that to help photographers to find the best settings for your pictures, you need some assistance, okay? Because not everybody knows about the best settings or are professionals. So he created this device to use on top of the camera that is connected to the camera and analyzes a preview of the scene, of the pictures, and then using machine learning, using some cognitive services, what else I don't know, but doesn't matter, he understands what there is inside from the description, from the information gathered from these services, and then uses all these parameters to find the best settings. $15 million. So I thought, maybe I will not be able to raise this amount of money, but I know about AI, I know about cognitive services, computer vision. I'm fond of photography, so why don't merge all these skills and try to reproduce something? So here is the session. Of course, I'm not able to create, to build my own device, and so I used a Raspberry Pi, free. And here is what I will use. Of course, this one is not much portable. It's just suitable for speeches, for conference, because it's the screen. But as you know, the Raspberry is very, very small, and you can use also a smaller Raspberry, maybe of the dimensions of this device. Here, why C++? First of all, is my favorite language. I was born with C++, and it's fast. And I guess also that with this kind of device, in this kind of situations, you need a device, a programming language that helps the device. So, would be easy to use Python because everything is ready. You can find a lot of things in Python, ready-made, for example. But don't forget that you need to run this kind of device, this kind of solutions in real life. So you cannot count into this power supply. You need batteries, for example. And so if you need batteries, you need to stress less your device. This is one of the reasons why I selected the C++. So, as you can see, I will show you the use of cognitive services that are Microsoft services that runs on the cloud. There is also a reason why. Maybe the best option could be to run this kind of algorithms offline, because not always you have the possibility to have internet connection. But just in the vision to save battery life, okay, I guess that it's better, if you have connection, to run all this kind of processing in the cloud, because it's easier, it costs less to run a call to a REST API and back the result than stress the hardware processing machine learning algorithms. Of course, it's up to you. I will show you just the flow and the idea that there is behind, more or less what I did, how I assembled everything. If you are interested to do this kind of things, to play, or for something much more serious, who knows, you have a wider possibility to change settings or to select other hardwares or other services. So it's just the idea. And this is the flow, but I guess it should be simple. So you take a picture, then this picture is managed by a Raspberry Pi that is sent to a cognitive services that come back with where runs the algorithm, the machine learning, where else, and then he selects the best settings for the camera. Okay. So now something easy that is really zero C++. Okay. To understand better what we are going to do, in my opinion, is nice to understand better very, very quickly the basics of photography, to understand after what are the common pitfalls in photography and why sometimes maybe your shot, your pictures that you take with your camera, with your smartphone maybe are not so great compared to one made with, by a professional photographer. So, in 2019, I guess that everybody knows the basic of photography, or using much more these kind of devices like my Pro DSL camera. So the light enter in the lens where there is the aperture, a shutter speed, and a mirror, unless you use a mirrorless, of course, and there are several parameters that we are going to see. So the aperture. The aperture is the amount, views the amount of light that enters into the device. Okay? But what it means that from a creative point of view, because so far you say, okay, but why is useful? Because this changes the depth of field. So, for example, if you want to create a portrait, maybe you want your background is blurred. Okay? Against, you are doing a landscape photography, maybe you want a very long depth of field. That it means that everything is sharp. But also, if you use a wide aperture, it means that you are in the night or with a low light condition, you can take the picture against using a very close aperture. So it's a compromise. If you have very low light conditions, you cannot have a depth of field, and so on. Keep in mind that these kind of settings are selected by the algorithms in automatic mode. Okay? Then this is the reason why sometimes the pictures is not like you want. So, shutter speed. Of course, the faster it is, the much more you are able to catch fast-moving objects. Okay? But against, you get less light. So again, it's a compromise. If you are going to take a picture of a very fast-moving motorbike, you need high speed, high shutter speed. But if you have low light condition, you will not be able to take the picture. The ISO basically is the ability to, is the sensitivity of the sensor. Okay? The higher is the ISO, the much more the device is able to take the picture in low light condition, but against you have a lot of noise in your picture. So this is a very important parameter to select in your camera when you need quality. And so here you can find the exposure triangle. So it's a compromise that you have to find between three parameters. It's not rocket science, but neither so easy. Much more when you are in some special conditions. Okay. This is the reason why a lot of people use automatic mode. But automatic mode select these parameters for general purpose. Here, the goal is to create your own algorithm that works for you based on for your taste. Very, very fast. Color temperature is the white balance. Here, you can select the color dominance of a scene. That could be much more cool, much more warm, and affect your picture. I go forward fast. Here, you can find the histogram. And basically, how works the algorithms inside your iPhones, or your smartphone, or the camera? They try to find the best histogram. Does everybody know what is a histogram? Do you have a knowledge? Perfect. So the idea, the perfect shot should be when the histogram is exactly in the middle. It's not always so easy. But you can reach the same result changing parameters, okay? Because, for example, you can have the perfect histogram but having a wide aperture and a very fast shutter speed. But you have an artistic effect that is totally the opposite if you use a very close, a very close aperture, so having a huge depth of field, but a low shutter speed. In this case, if you don't keep very old, what you have is that you have moving objects in your scene. So these are all the main parameters that you can find in photography. Common pitfalls, for example. Often the algorithm fails. I don't know if you tried sometimes to take a portrait when there is a lot of backlit. So in most cases, what you have is an image like that, where the face is totally black and the background is exposed normally, correctly, sorry. But why? Because, as I told you before, these algorithms that you find on your smartphone, generally in your camera, are general purpose, and they work mathematically. They don't understand what there is inside your scene, okay? So, they say, I take the average, and based on the average, on the background, on this area, these are the best settings. Unfortunately, the result is not so good. Using an approach like that, you can understand that it is a portrait, because cognitive services can tell you, okay, there is a face and is located in this region of the picture. So, in your algorithm, without using much more machine learning, you are already able to create a simple switch case where you can say, okay, the best settings in this condition with this amount of light should be that one. But if it is a portrait, please expose in a different way, using different parameters. Because in this case, doesn't matter if the background is burned, how is named technically. Okay? The most important thing is to have the face that is exposed correctly. Here, there is another example. When you have a landscape, much more while the sunset or the sunrise, but much more in the sunset, you have a very bright sky and, unfortunately, a very dark background. This is because the sensor looks in a very different way compared to human eye. They look really different. They can see some things that the human eye can see. For example, the aurora borealis. I saw, but I can tell you that the same pictures, the same sight seen from my eyes is totally different when I saw the results of my picture from my camera. Because they see something more, but also something else less. Okay. Anyway, in this case, what to do? Maybe the best option could be other. For example, I want a very long depth of field because it's a landscape, because there are particular light conditions. But using the accelerometer of my camera or other parameters, analyzing all the frames that comes, I can understand that I have not a tripod. So the best parameters should be to have, for example, a very close aperture to maximize the depth of field. But I can't, because there is a low light condition, and then I need a very low shutter speed. But in this case, if it is very low, my imaging is moved. Okay? So, in this case, what I want is maybe to have a wider aperture, but with an higher shutter speed to balance. And this is something that common algorithms that you can find on your phone or your camera can't do, because they are optimized in a different way. So, the theory is finished. Now, let's put our hands on something much more concrete. So, I told you that the idea was to connect my camera to a Raspberry Pi and then send the image to cognitive services or into a service that is on the cloud. And so far, to send something in C++ to a service is almost easy. The problem was how to control the camera. So I discovered a tool that runs just on Linux. There are some porting. Someone was able to make it work on Windows, but I was not able to do it, to reproduce. This is a command line tool. It's named gphoto2. I don't know if someone else is aware of this tool. And is compatible with most all modern cameras. For example, mine is a Canon 5D Mark IV is really new brand, and so, but it is already included in this software. I will show you. So, as you can see, you can download, and there's a command line option. Okay, but of course, I needed to use this software inside my software, and I was lucky because they provide also the libraries. Perfect. Then I had to select the service to process my pictures. And of course, I selected Microsoft Cognitive Services. Unfortunately, they support all languages, all, even Go, except C++. So, what to do? Okay, I'm a Microsoft MVP. Maybe that I should start to create something in C++. So, this is the reason why I started to create my SDK, my version of SDK of Microsoft Cognitive Services. Of course, is not official, okay? Is maintained by me. Everybody are welcome if they want to contribute. And the idea is to create the much more classes to call all the services, not just the Vision API. Is there someone that knows cognitive services or the list of what they can do? Just one. Okay. So, where it is? No. Oh, it's in Italian, sorry. But, okay, I try. And, perfect. I will look in English because I don't understand the Polish. Services. Microsoft. Wow, in Polish. Okay, let's try. Okay, let's try. So, how they works? Basically, and honestly, you don't need to be a genius of machine learning to use these kind of services, because there are services that has been already trained. There are a variable, as is, and what you have to do is just to call using REST API these kind of services. Okay. So, I don't understand what there is written, but I remember more or less what they should be, and the tags should be tags, I guess. Perfect. So if you upload, you can upload an image, but we can use the demo. Okay. What is interesting is the ability of these services to return informations. As you can see, there is a very clear description of what is seen. So, okay, is most in English. The confidence factor for each rectangle, and it is a subway train, and so much. This is the description, but you have also tags that in this case are much more useful for what we want to do. Because if after calling these services you don't want to use machine learning again, but you want just to create a fall of switch case or if then else, I don't know, to keep it simple, you want to use tags with the confidence. Of course, don't use all parameters. Not all are really useful. Use a threshold because maybe, I don't know, you can already see, for example, pooling is a 43% of accuracy, and honestly is useless for what we want to do because the goal is to find the best settings for the camera. Okay? What is interesting in this case, that there are trains, but much more that there is a platform and there is a station. So we can understand that we are in the outdoor, maybe there is an average amount of light, and already we have some information to create the best settings for our creativity, of course. Because if you want to use the automatic mode, this session is useless. You can just turn in the auto and you can take your picture, okay? All this is for create your own art for your own settings and to reproduce. Or if you are lucky, you can start a campaign on Kickstarter and maybe you can overtake his fundraising, or who knows. Faces. This service is amazing because uses the same algorithms that you can find, for example, on your smartphone that is able to do the face detection. So maybe something that you are accustomed to see in a lot of applications, but in this case, why it could be useful, for example? First of all, to understand that it is a portrait, and this is the most important thing. And when there is a portrait, maybe in the 90%, I want a blurred background, okay? But much more, that to understand that, for example, in this case, we have more than one people in the scene. And this could affect our changes. In this case, for example, the depth of field, because could differ. There was also an app that had a lot of success, but now the feature has been included in a lot of smartphones that, for example, triggers the shot when someone smiles. Maybe today is something boring, but consider that was not a few years ago. And anyway, you can reproduce everything. And of course, in this case, we have the landscape and sky, 99%. So again, you have all information to create, sorry, the best parameters. But so far, could be useful. I was not able to prepare everything because it's still not complete and work in progress. But I thought, okay, but this kind of approach could be useful, for example, when managing drones. Because could be a nice play if I use a machine learning algorithms, for example, to make the drone able to understand signals, so arrows, up and down, left, in order to make it able to follow a path based on signal that you see. But how? These kind of algorithms are amazing, but they are general purpose. So you need something custom. And this is the reason why Microsoft released also another service that is very similar, but is named Custom Vision, where you can create your own model based on the training of your images. And I will show you very quickly this service. So this is very simple because with arrows, I guess was not interesting. But I created a very small service just for you before. Here, the idea is very simple. You can use this website that is customvision.ai, and you can use it for free. You need just a Microsoft account as developer, of course. So, basically, you need just to load images. When loading image, let's try another. Just add a label. In this case, are already created. And I don't upload again this photo because the model has been already created. But anyway, you can tag. You can tag then when you uploaded all the data set and you need at least 15 images to train a basic model. So you can push to train and everything is ready for production. For this example, what I did is to use the cloud version. But the interesting thing that maybe could be useful also for other projects for you is the fact that you can, export the model for iOS, TensorFlow, ONNX, and Docker files. And that's for free. So, even though you are not interested to this project, to photography, I guess that this kind of service could be useful for other projects. And if you want to run your algorithm offline, you can download the neural network that has been created automatically from this tool online. I will show you very quickly a tool that represents the neural network, and the file has been already opened. How is the structure of the neural network that is being trained? Honestly, if you want to use the offline service, an idea could be to use Docker. But again, if we said that this solution must run in a Raspberry, maybe using batteries, I don't know if Kubernetes or other solutions are the best option. So I guess that using TensorFlow, maybe, of course, in C++, because our software are in C++, could be the best option. And I suggest also to export ONNX because it's a standard model. I will talk about it maybe at the end. So, let's see, I'm not able to... Okay, maybe it's better. Perfect. Oh, where is GitHub again? In my Microsoft SDK, of course, I've included some instruction to install the packages and some example how to run the demo that are included into examples. Okay. And I released also my own wrapper around gPhoto that is into another repository, but included already here. Of course, it's just a wrapper to use better inside my libraries. I think that it could be useful. So if you just run some examples, in this case, I run an example that is the analyze API. And here, there is the result. So if you are a C++ developer, you know that managing JSON in C++ is not the best thing in the life. So I guess that just for the work I did to manage the JSON in C++, I should be useful for you, I hope. Anyway, this is the result that I print in a function that I call the debug, and of course it's intended just for debug, and are the result of each single methods. I will show you in the code. As you can see, in C++, in a structure, so in an object, sorry, you have all this kind of information that you can use. The text, outdoor, building. So it should be sample number 1. And so sample number 1 is a parent of mine. So this is the picture, and the result is this one. Sky, with this kind of confidence, but much more, for example, outdoor. And there is a person. Just with these 4 parameters, you can create your own settings, your best settings. Okay. So, okay. And now, finally, I will show you how it works. It's been included inside the SDK. The software is named the Camera AI, and taking into as input different parameters, you can try different different vision services, controlling always your camera. So, in this case, is connected to custom vision model that I showcased before. So the bottles and peoples. Then, if everything works, we can run from command line, and he told me that with 100% this is a bottle. Okay, so the custom vision worked perfectly, and you have also this information that should be the bounding box, but I guess is really small. So, yes, too much small. They changed the API yesterday. So I landed in Warsaw, I just tried my demo in my hotel room, it doesn't work, and I had to change some parameters inside the SDK because they changed everything really in a few days. But this is the life. So if I remove this one just to demonstrate that it's not fake, and if everything works again, okay, is people at 19%. Again, the bounding box, maybe they changed something in some field, I don't know, but I will fix very, very quickly. So in this case, we used the custom vision. Just a quick sight on the code, and I guess that we can finish. So this is Camera AI. Are you able to see, or? Wow. Okay. So the API is really easy to use. And here, what I want to show you, how easy it could be. So this is my wrapper. okay? This is my wrapper. We use the auto detect to understand that there is a camera connected, and you have a vector of cameras. Honestly, I don't know why, but this comes from gPhoto 2. Maybe because you could have much more than one camera in your device. Anyway, it's just a vector, nothing impossible. The point is how easy it could be. You just get the camera front. This maybe comes from the use of devices like laptop. I don't believe smartphone because it's strange. But anyway, technically, you can select the front camera and the back camera. I implemented everything. Anyway, in this case, always front is the main camera. Just check if it's open or not. This comes from the very old style. This program was developed in C. So I did some porting to write some code from C to C++, and then a wrapper over to manage in an easier way. But everything comes from C. So this is the reason why you see something that looks like C code. This is true just for Canon camera, not for Nikon or other. And then we finished. Here is just a debug to catch the model of the camera and so on. And here there are a set of commands that you have to use to get the camera parameters. And they are really easy to use. If you want to know how is now the aperture, just run this line of code. And you have the value, and it's easy to get. In the same way, after you can set the parameters that you decided to create. So just change G with S, and you can set the value of that parameter. To take a picture is really easy. Capture preview to memory. Of course, it's a preview. A preview, it means that it is a very small picture, and I don't save inside the camera, because this is not my final picture, and to save batteries, to save the bandwidth, and for cognitive services, I don't need a very huge 50 megapixel image to understand that is just a landscape or just a portrait. So this is the reason why I take just a very small preview to run cognitive services. So after that, you get the result. How? You take the preview, and you have to select the service that you want. So in this case, there is analyze, describe. You have also the OCR. I've included into the SDK, and so, for example, you can take the picture of a text and to extract all information. I guess that in this case it's not useful, but it's included. And something important, if you use cognitive services, you create the service in some regions. It's important that you use the same region. This is something related to Microsoft. So if you create your service in West Europe, please select West Europe. Could seem naive, but me too. A lot of time I don't understand why the service is not working simply because I'm accustomed to use Central US, but the service is selected to run in West Europe. Anyway, is already included in a structure, and everything is inside the SDK. You just need to select the correct the correct region. WT is the picture that you got from the preview, and then it's done. Inside this object, you have everything. And debug just print on the screen what I showcased you before. After that, and considering that we are going to finish, I don't know if worth the case to add much more because it's neither a machine learning session. What I can say is that now you have all parameters and you can choose different ways. You can take the tags as the input of another machine learning model that you created for the best settings, or the easiest way, but of course is not so much complex, is to use like a switch case. Okay, if I have a landscape with this probability, if I have a portrait of the sky with this amount of light and very few parameters, because if you do it without using machine learning, you can control very few parameters. But I can assure that you can already reach a very good result. So you can set the best settings based on your own taste. Okay, because what is beautiful for me, I'm talking for example about the bokeh effect when the background is blurred. Okay, a lot of people like this one, but if you study photography and you read the literature, maybe a big teacher, a big photographer could say that blurring the background is for beginners, okay? Is not for good photography. And so you want to change parameter, you want to change different settings that are not the one that is standard default in your auto mods. How to do it? Simply using the set parameters against the get value. Another solution is to use containers, for example, because cognitive services can run containers inside the containers. But I don't know if it's the best solution considering that everything must be run using battery. I don't know, depends on your scenario. This is applied to photography, but applications are wider. Okay? For example, I saw another video that is really interesting. There was an application using exactly the same algorithms for safety in the work. Cognitive services, computer vision algorithms, for example, check the environment, check people if they wear the helmet or not. Or a scenario where you are looking for your drill, maybe your colleague used it, and so all cameras put in along the building, they are able to do a very accurate object recognition, can tell you through smartphone, okay, what are you looking for is going to be used by Paul, and is 2 floors up to you. This is a real life application. It's not something that someone can invent. I saw it. So, what was important is to show the approach, what can be done, and as I told you before, it was something really light and easy. So, I hope you enjoy it, and thanks for watching.